Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The morning was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that weighs down like a premonition. I was fumbling through the kitchen, trying to remember where my wife, Eliza, might have written down our bank's password. We usually kept such things on our phones, hers being the more organized one. As luck would have it, Eliza had left her phone on the counter, rushing out to catch her train to work. Picking up her sleek, silver phone, my intention was simple: find the password, log into the bank, and sort out the urgent transfer I had been postponing. But the universe had a different reveal stored for me. As I swiped the screen alive, a notification blossomed at the top: yesterday was unforgettable. When will I see you again? It wasn't just the words that sent a shiver down my spine, but the realization that they weren't meant for me. For a moment, I stood frozen, the phone heavy in my hand. Thoughts raced through my mind, each more unsettling than the last. Who was this message from? Why would they send this to Eliza? And, had she felt the same? Anger began to boil within me, mixing potently with betrayal. I needed answers. I needed to know how far this went, who was involved, and most importantly, why she hadn't told me. My heart raced as I unlocked her phone, a password I knew all too well, and dived deeper into the rabbit hole. Her Messages app was a minefield. There, under a number not saved but frequently messaged, were the details of an affair that seemed to have been going on for months. The words on the screen blurred into a red haze as I read about secret meetings, whispered affections, and plans that never included me. I couldn't just stand there. I needed to act, to confront her, to shatter this facade of a perfect marriage we had been parading around. But direct confrontation was too easy, too quick for the depth of deceit that had burrowed into our lives. Instead, I plotted a revenge that would be meticulous and devastating. I would dismantle the life we had built together, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but the truth. I started with the easiest weapon at my disposal: her secrets. Forwarding the messages to myself, I began compiling evidence of her betrayal. I contacted a lawyer to discuss the quickest route to a divorce. And every day, as I continued to play the doting husband, I stripped away the layers of lies, transferring funds, securing my assets, and preparing for the inevitable fallout. As the sun set that day, casting long shadows across our living room, I sat waiting for her to return, the phone still in my hand, a plan set in motion. Today had been just another day for her, but for me, it was the beginning of the end. The revenge had taken root, and there was no turning back. The click of the lock signaled her return. Eliza, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me, entered with her usual grace, her face alight with a smile that had once warmed my heart. She hung her coat, her movements fluid and untroubled. "Hey, love. Anything interesting happened today?" she asked, her voice carrying that lilt of innocence that now grated on my nerves. "Interesting?" I echoed, my tone flat. I watched her closely, searching for any flicker of guilt, any shadow of deceit. But there was none. Just the bright, cheery woman I had married, now a stranger under my scrutiny. I decided to play along, my words dripping with feigned curiosity. "Your phone was buzzing all day. Didn't you miss any important calls?" The trap was set, baited with her own secrets. She paused, a brief moment of hesitation that betrayed her calm exterior. "Oh, just work stuff, I suppose. I can handle it tomorrow." Her smile didn't reach her eyes this time. I walked over to the kitchen, keeping the conversation casual. "I needed the bank password today. Found it in your phone. Also found something else." My back was turned to her, hiding the cold rage in my eyes. There was a sharp intake of breath, a soft clatter of keys she placed on the table. "What do you mean?" Her voice was steady, but the slight tremor was there, an undercurrent of fear. Turning to face her, I held up her phone, the screen displaying the message that had shattered our life. This yesterday was unforgettable. Who sent this, Eliza? I demanded, the calm in my voice belying the turmoil inside. She faltered, her face draining of color. It's not what it looks like, I swear. It was just a what? A mistake. I cut her off, stepping closer. How long has this been going on? Eliza's eyes filled with tears, her facade crumbling. I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I never meant for any of this to happen. A mistake repeated for months is a choice, Eliza, I stated coldly, the words tasting bitter. What did you think? That I'd never find out? She reached out, her hands trembling. Please, let's talk about this. We can go to counseling. We can fix this. But it was too late for regrets. Too late for forgiveness. I had seen the depths of her betrayal, and there was no coming back from that. Fix this. I scoffed. There's nothing left to fix. You've made sure of that. The room was thick with tension, every word a slice deeper into the facade of our marriage. I left her standing there, her tears a silent testament to the gravity of her mistakes. Retreating to my office, I dialed the number of the private investigator I had hired earlier that day. I need everything you can find on the man texting my wife. Names, addresses, everything. As I hung up, a plan formed in my mind, a plan not just of revenge, but of total annihilation. Her betrayal had set this in motion, and I would see it through to the bitter end. The stage was set, and the act was only just beginning. The morning light crept through the blinds, casting lines across the breakfast table where Eliza sat, a ghost of her usual self. She had been quiet since our confrontation, her eyes swollen from tears, her spirit clearly shattered. But my heart had hardened, sympathy was a luxury I could no longer afford. As I entered the kitchen, she looked up, a flicker of hope dancing in her eyes, a hope that was quickly extinguished by the cold demeanor I wore like armor. We need to talk about how we're going to handle this, I began, my voice steady and devoid of warmth. She nodded, clutching her coffee mug like a lifeline. I'll do anything to make this right. Please, tell me what you want. What I want, I paused, measuring the impact of my words, is for you to be honest with me. Who is he? The question seemed to strike her harder than I expected. She hesitated, then whispered a name that meant nothing yet everything to me, Tom. He was just a fling. It meant nothing. Nothing. I echoed, the irony bitter on my tongue. And yet, it has cost us everything. I watched her crumble, her defenses weakening, but my resolve only strengthened. I want full access to your communications with him. Every message, every call log. And you will end it today, in front of me. Her compliance was immediate, a testament to the gravity of our strained relations. She handed me her phone, and I scrolled through the damning evidence, each message a nail in the coffin of our marriage. The phone rang suddenly, piercing the tense silence. Tom's name flashed on the screen, and I answered before she could protest. Who is this? The voice on the other end was cautious, tinged with annoyance. I'm the husband of the woman you've been seeing. It's over, Tom. Don't contact her again. There was a pause, a breath held in collective suspense before he replied, You don't know everything. There's more to. I don't care, I cut him off, the finality in my voice brooking no argument. I hung up, cutting off whatever justification he might have offered. Turning back to Eliza, I found her staring at me, a mix of fear and relief in her eyes. It's done, I declared. But this isn't over. Not until I say it's over. The rest of the day was a blur of activity. I met with my lawyer to discuss the divorce proceedings and the best strategies for protecting my assets. I was methodical, leaving no stone unturned, no vulnerability exposed. In the evening, I received a call from the private investigator. "I've got the information you requested," he said, his voice low and serious. "There's more to this guy than your wife told you. He's connected, has a bit of a shady past." I listened intently, my mind racing as he detailed Tom's history of similar entanglements, his knack for disappearing when things got messy. "Keep an eye on him. I want to know his every move," I instructed before hanging up. As night fell, I sat alone in the dark, the day's revelations echoing like the distant rumble of a storm. Betrayal had led me here, but it was retribution that would see me through. The path was set, and I was committed to walking it, no matter how treacherous the road ahead might be. The week dragged on with the weight of impending doom, each day a meticulous step towards the unveiling of the full treachery. My once shared home with Eliza now felt like a battleground, every corner whispering secrets of betrayal. One cold evening, as I sat across from Eliza in our sterile living room, the silence was broken by the sharp ring of the doorbell. My eyes didn't stray from hers, but I saw the fear flicker through them. I stood and walked to the door, knowing exactly who I would find on the other side. Tom stood there, his appearance disheveled, his eyes wary. "We need to talk," he said, his voice firm yet carrying an edge of desperation. "Not here," I replied curtly. "Follow me." I led him to my study, away from Eliza's earshot. Once inside, I turned to face him, my expression unreadable. "You've been a hard man to track down, Tom. Making my wife an accomplice in your games." Tom's face hardened. "It's not just me who's playing games here. There's more you don't know about Eliza." His words were meant to unnerve me, but I was resolute. "I know enough. This ends tonight." As we stood in the dim light of my study, I laid out the evidence I had gathered, not just of his affair with Eliza but of his past, littered with manipulation and deceit. His face remained stoic, but I saw the flicker of concern. He knew his past was catching up to him. Meanwhile, Eliza, who had been eavesdropping at the door, burst in, her face a mask of panic. "What are you doing? You're going too far." Ignoring her, I focused on Tom. "You're going to leave town, Tom. Tonight. If you ever contact Eliza or come near my family again, the next conversation we have won't be just a threat." Tom looked between Eliza and me, his decision clear in his retreat. "You won't see me again," he spat out, his pride wounded but his survival instincts taking over. After Tom's departure, I turned to face Eliza, her presence suddenly more a burden than ever. "And you," I began, my voice cold, "will sign these." I handed her the divorce papers, my lawyer's number neatly penned at the bottom. Eliza, tears streaming down her face, signed each page, her hands trembling. "I never meant for any of this. I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't change what happened. It doesn't erase the betrayal," I replied, my words final. With the divorce papers in hand, I watched her leave, her steps hesitant but final. The house felt empty, hollowed out by lies and deceit. I poured myself a drink, the liquid burning down my throat, a stark reminder of the bitter taste of vengeance. As the night grew deeper, I received a call from the private investigator confirming Tom had left town. With that final piece secured, I settled into the silence, the echo of my actions reverberating around me. The dawn was breaking when I finally allowed myself to reflect. The revenge had been exacting and thorough, but the victory was hollow. I had lost a wife, confronted a foe, and protected my integrity, but at what cost? The shadows of the house seemed to lean in, whispering the price of such retribution. In the end, I was left with a clear but solitary path forward, my heart sealed off from future betrayals, my life irrevocably altered by the actions born of one deceptive message that had seemed so insignificant at the time.